up a certain way. I grew up around abuse, so I know with me, I have lots of triggers. If I feel like someone yells at me, if you curse, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Look, ain't no talking.
Yeah.
It's over. So it's like, how do you deal with that? I think, well, one of the reasons why I think we don't, like you said, know our mates and what their triggers are is because nowadays we don't always take the time to get to know the person before we jump right in, and it's like, oh, this is my boo, we're together, we're in a committed relationship, but you don't know what makes them tick, what makes them happy, what makes them upset, what makes them sad. So speak to that. Like,
one of the things I did with this book, I wrote a book and then I wrote a workbook because I think it's so important to work on your relationships. And let me start really quick with talking about domain addresses. Every person, Christina, in the planet, on the planet, men and women, but let's talk about men, have a special code of communication, or domain, which means that they have a set of ways that they like to communicate, whether it's good or bad. Maybe it came from seeing abuse. Like myself, I didn't have a healthy relationship that I could pattern after. So there was a lot of things in my domain address that if you didn't know that, it'll lock you out. So, for example, I can't grab your phone and log into your email account because you have a password.
That's right.
So in relationships, what we try to do a lot of times, we see a lot of women, I see in a coach, that they're trying to tap into their man using their ex-boyfriend's set of beliefs.
Absolutely.
So they're trying to enter and log in because they're saying, well, all men need sex, all men need this, all men need that. Instead of taking the time to get to know that man and understanding what his past is and taking time to interview him.
That's true. Oh, my gosh. This is going to be deep, y'all. I hope you're ready. This is going to be deep. This is going to bless a lot of people.
Yes.
Manhandle may save some households because communication is so big, and making sure that you understand all of that. So tell me more about what this book gets into as far as communication is concerned.
Great. The book talks about, I use a set of words that start with the root word man. I thought it'd be kind of play on words. So I use words like manifestation.
Ooh, one of my favorite words.
Manifestation is so important.
Okay.
And let's talk about manifestation.
Yes, please.
Manifestation is in every man, paraplegic or the most astounding bodybuilder in the world.
Yes.
If he cannot manifest in a relationship, be the man and make a manifestation, be able to lift, to do, to climb, to be free, to do something, he will shrink in his relationship. Wow. And so sometimes women will smother, or in relationships you will smother in that relationship, and that man cannot manifest.
Wow.
And so now he's holding all this stuff inside. He doesn't feel needed. We talk a lot of times about if she makes more than me.
Yeah.
And if she's the breadwinner.
Oh, gosh.
But every man still wants to, manifest in that relationship.
That's right.
So my thing about it, even though you may make more women, let him manifest. Let him bring something to the table. He wants to lift that table.
Right.
And being able to strengthen that. I talk about also manslayers.
Wow.
Now, manslayers.
Tell me about that.
That's powerful because when a man is feeling like he can't manifest, he's not bringing anything to the table, he wants to shut down everything. Yeah. The dog can't bark. He's mad at you.
He mad.
He don't want you to be yourself. And basically he wants to kill everything. And so many men are so angry because of their childhood. They didn't have father figures, or whatever it may be. They want to kill your dreams. And a lot of women I talk to like, man, he don't want me to do anything.
Yes.
And I say when that happens, is he manifesting? Does he know his purpose? And so they're manslayers. So the book talks about be mindful of manslayers because they are dream killers.
Wow.
Women, if he's not pouring into your dreams, a lot of times he's angry with himself. It's not just he's that bad guy.
I try to tell women that all the time, that a lot of times, but when someone's coming at you, it's hard for you to realize that this isn't about you.
Yes.
This is about himself. The things that he's saying to you is how he feels about himself.
Yes.
But when he's addressing it to you, how do you handle that? It's like, how as women do we say, okay, you know what? This has nothing to do with me. You're not feeling so good about yourself right now. I'm going to give you a minute, or we're going to talk this through, or what have you. Does the book help men to work on those areas of manifestation?
Yeah, it's something powerful. That's a great question, because one of the things I did is you have to use a word for a word. Yeah. So when I use manifestation, I teach in the book certain words that women can use to help a man manifest.
I need 2 copies of this.
So it's simple words that you can use to help them manifest. For example, if you're husband, boyfriend, significant other, wife, this is for men too, are struggling with manifestation, you don't want to give them words that close them down.
That's right.
You want to give them words to open them up.
Open them up.
You want to turn down the negatives and turn up the positives.
So I don't want to give away the book,
Yeah.
but can you just give us a couple of those words?
Great.
Like, give me an example of maybe one of them.
All right. Well, when I look at manslayers,
Okay.
and if you read the Bible, you'll see Cain and Abel. So one of the principles I use is don't let Cain kill your Abel, or don't let Kant kill your Can.
Ooh, I love.
So if you are trying to manifest, you want to say you can.
That's right.
Just the word can opens up. Like looking at some people, I've seen them so depressed, Christina, so broken, and just hearing you can do it. You do a lot with spiritual coaching and retreats. Sometimes you get in those environments and you tell people you can make it.
Yes,
Just
absolutely.
that word not being deep, you put a can where the cannot is, and it opens up a great potential of possibility.
Absolutely.
Another thing, I have a word that I like to use is called manipulation. And I always say that manipulation takes participation.
That's right.
So a lot of times women and men feel like, oh, she manipulated me, but you had to participate to some extent in that manipulation. So one of the words that I would use is freedom. If somebody's manipulating me, and I hear women all the time say this when I coach them, he's trying to run game on me, I'm going to do the same thing on him.
Yeah.
Now you're acting out of character.
That's right.
You're
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Participating.
Yeah.
Now you're in the journey. So all you have to do is give him freedom, which means that give him space. If you're manipulating, I'm not trying to catch you, not trying to go through your phone.
Right.
I'm not trying to hire a private investigator. You
Yes.
kind of already know as women
Right.
already what's going on.
Yeah.
Give him freedom to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Here's an opportunity for you to share. And a lot of times men have never had that freedom.
That's right.
Because I talk about in the book from a boy growing up in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yes, we did.
In the QC, I was told at a young age when I fell down, boy, don't cry, suck it up.
Yeah.
What you doing? Boys don't do that.
That's right.
You know, not to express crying. So by nature, when I'm hurting, I tend to cover up.
Yeah.
Most men will tend to cover up when they're in pain to kind of say they cool. You know how it is. How was your day, baby? Oh, I'm cool.
Yeah.
And if you don't really know that man,
To be like, you don't feel cool, you don't seem cool.
Your
Yeah.
breathing's change, your body posture change. And so then you go and say, which most women a lot of times will do, they'll start unloading. They say, okay, you good? Okay, this is what I got going on. This is what I got
that's
going
right.
on. Then I'm
Yeah,
like, why
we
he don't
do.
stay at home? Why he's always out with his friends? Because he's going to be trained to kind of tell you the okie doke first before you can get to the real issue.
Oof. It's so hard. But we have to pay attention to one another. And like I said earlier, get to know each other in a way where, you know, I feel like you create soul ties. You're going to be able to feel and maybe stop. Because a lot of times now with social media and the phones, it's like I might be like, you good?
Right.
Yeah, I'm good. You're not looking at him to make sure his body language matches his words.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're staring at the phone and he's not feeling good and you're great. And then later on something pops off and you're like, wait, what? I thought you said you had it great. So I think in this era of technology, it's important for us to also make sure that we're paying attention to each other.
Yeah, it's great because one of the activities in the workbook, this is a companion book and there's a workbook, is a principle that I like to use called digging in the open.
Okay, let's get
Digging
into
in the
it.
open. And the reason why I say that because a lot of times it's the way we ask questions. We ask it one-ended, like, how you doing? I'm fine. We don't create
a conversation.
Asking the questions, or we ask the questions when it's a heated debate. Now everything is
now
going
you want
on.
to talk.
We want to talk.
Yeah. And I had to learn to do that with my kids too, because every day they would come home and say, I would be like, how was your day at school? It was fine, or it was good. I'm like, that's it? Yeah. Nobody got in a fight today. Nothing popped off at the cafeteria. Your teachers were all loving and kind. And then they would be like, oh, no. So in English class today, and that's how I would get them to start conversating, because every day if I just say, oh, okay, cool, that's it.
Yes.
So we got to do that with our men too.
And our women, and it teaches us to go behind those feelings. And then you start seeing the behaviors, and you start to communicate.
Tell us again. It's called digging.
Digging in the open.
In the
which
open.
Means that what it means is that I'm going to purposely and intently ask you questions, and I'm going to let you know, hey, I'm probing.
concerned.
I'm concerned, and then I'm explaining to them, hey, not you. You did this. I feel. Making it, I feel that when this happened, you pulled away, what are some reasons that may be going on? So you're asking and giving that person time to answer.
So I know with us as women, we go in. Oh, Shanika wore this today, and she was saying this, and then I heard the other girls at lunch doing, and we just download on you guys. Whereas you guys don't talk as much. So how do we get that, like, digging in the open and, you know, conversation started? And even if you tell us no and then you don't say anything, how do we insist without upsetting you?
Oh, that's a great question. And one of the chapters in the workbook is called passwords. When I talked about the domain address, you got to know your mate's password. And the only way you're going to understand that is you got to do what we call word searches. My grandma used to have a word search
Lord.
where she had the circle. So you got to find out what are the right words to use, and that comes with spending time with your mate.
Okay.
If you come out and say, hey, I need to talk to you now, they might work for John or your last relationship, but Jim might need you to say, hey, how was your day? Then get into the issues. So word searches, finding out what opens them up and what closes them. And so that takes time, that takes opportunity for you to develop that you kind of becoming in harmony with each other. And just knowing when. I want to say this is so powerful that I talk about this principle. Men will say what they don't feel and feel what they don't say. By nature.
They will say what they don't
feel and feel what they don't say by nature.
Wow.
Going back to that question that's in there, how was your day? Oh, it was cool. He may have had a day from Hades, a day from hell, everybody at work is on his case, but I'm cool. If you don't know that, it takes that probing and making them feel comfortable and understanding the right way to ask them. You'll get those same mundane questions.
Wow.
And answers.
Okay, ladies, he said you got to know the passcode, and we're not talking about to his phone, okay? So don't even try. We have to be patient with one another, pay attention to each other, our body language, what we're saying, and if it matches. I'm a big, I have a friend who can read your body language without you saying a word. She's even better at it than me. But I'm the same way. You can tell when the shoulders are tense. You know, when you're anxious, or what you're saying isn't necessarily matching. You know, so that's a toughie, but I think we could do this. You guys got to get this book, Manhandled, Hidden Code Words That Impact Men. I think this is a great read for women and men because it kind of gives us, you know, the way to operate with you guys, but it gives you guys the way to heal yourself and to do the work.
And one of the things is you have those words. You have those lists. And another thing that I found out is that a lot of times we don't break through in relationships because we don't set aside intentional time to talk about issues. Setting aside intentional time. We schedule everything. We interview for credit. We interview for school. We set aside time to blog. We set aside time to get our outfit ready. But we want to invest in our relationship, say that we're going to set aside a time to talk and work and invest in our relationship.
But how do we do that when you guys, as soon as we say, I need to talk, y'all run for the hills? How do we get a man to actually set aside time and be like, okay, we're going to sit down and talk at this time? I need that secret, ASAP.
This is the secret I found out, is that when men are engaging, engage. What I mean by that is you should know your man. You should know and take the time to understand him to provide a comfortable environment. And then a lot of men won't plan it. Hey, let's talk. Can we talk about this at a certain time? I'm going to be intentional. I think what happens is that a lot of times this is like a pop-up shop. We sporadically want to talk about 10 things.
And as women, we don't like to wait. So as soon as you be like, okay, we can talk about what? What you want to talk about? No, tell me now. I want to know now. So just having the patience of not getting into it at that moment. I think everything is timing. Everything is about timing, because it's like sometimes he just got off work. He hasn't even taken his shoes off. He hasn't put his keys down. And you already like, we need to talk. You know, give him a minute, unwind, to get his bearings, to download from the day, and then.
It goes about the sequence of understanding the timing. Like, for example, if I was I called you, we reached out, and we set a time to be on this show today. And sometimes, you know, we don't allow time for that interview or that time to talk. And I think sometimes it's like, hey, let me get on your schedule. Let me schedule it out. let's get together and make this happen. But, you know, men also want the snapshots. We want the snapshot version.
Yes.
Most likely. We want the snapshot. We want the highlights.
Right. And that's what I say. I got that from Oprah. I heard her say one time, and I don't know who she was quoting, but they were saying that women speak in fine print and men speak in headlines. Like, we always think it's so much deeper than it really is. We like, what you mean by that? Oh, no, this is what you were saying. Like, no, I just simply was saying what I said.
Yeah, I did a study in writing this book because I went through a lot of problems in relationships. And I think that that's what led me to write a book like this. But one of the things scientifically is that we hear at a faster rate than we speak.
Really?
We hear at a faster rate than we speak. So a lot of times that causes a lot of dead space. So when I'm talking, you know, especially I have this going on a lot of times where I may be saying something and then say my wife, my significant other is saying, I'm ready to cook. Get to the point. Right? And so I'm thinking, because I can hear at a faster rate, so I got a lot of dead space.
Okay.
So I might say a special engagement. We're supposed to be at somewhere at a certain time, at a certain place. And then I call you a week later and like, where are you? What do you mean where I am? I told you we had a meeting. When we were talking on the phone that day, I ain't hear anything. Now you got a disagreement because there was a lot of dead space. You were moving in your mind to what's going to happen later instead of understanding what's being said at that moment.
Oh, I see.
So now we have... Most relationships break up because of communication.
I believe it. It's tough. I think one of the hardest things is when you're the type of person that hears somebody could say 100 sentences, and out of 100 sentences, one of them can be negative, and you're going to roll with that.
Yes.
Like, and then you argue about that 1 out of 100. Yes. And it goes from 0 to belligerent or 0 to 100. And it's like, what do I do? You know, now we're totally off subject. So none of the things that we were really dealing with, we're dealing with. And now it's based on the one thing that you heard, that a lot of times women, we could be making assumptions. That it was something negative when it's not really. You know what I mean? So how do you deal with that? Like holding on to a relationship by having healthy communication? Because to me, it seems as though it would just depend on how healthy you are as a person.
Yeah. And I think when you ask these certain questions, like digging the open and you're scheduling a time, you will be able to see how far you want to go with your relationship. Because what I found out in talking to a lot of women and been in relationships before is that we'll give our body, we'll give our mind, our soul to somebody. Then we want to find out about them.
After the fact.
After the fact. Now we tied to them.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to figure out, what am I saying? What am I doing? A lot of women are internalizing. It's not true. Is if we would have asked these questions earlier, then if he even avoids it, you will at least say that, hey, do I want to proceed in this relationship or not? So the book helps you to be able to say, am I willing to proceed or give all of this for this individual?
Yeah.
If he's worth that investment or if she's worth that investment.
Right. Oof, that's a lot, ladies. Y'all listening? So what do you think about that when you're meeting a person? Do you have in your mind a set number of, like, you know how people are like, oh, you should wait 90 days before you do this, or you should wait. I know this is on biblical principles, so we're supposed to wait until marriage. But do you think there's a certain amount of time you should date before you can say, okay, no, I'm not going to do the work. I'm not willing to commit and do all of this for this particular person?
You know, it's no set formula, but I do think you should give yourself a half a year, 6 months.
6 months.
To really settle down, because it's going to probably take you, if you're getting out of a relationship, a good year for you to unpack from that relationship.
To heal,
Now, if you were in a marriage, it may take you years, and sometimes we never fully unpack. We have to deal with stuff as we go. But you said something that was very important, because a lot of times people are looking at the physical connection or sexual. But if you are going there in your mind, because, you know, if you're in a good relationship, we'll talk about that later on the show. If that's your bait, that's your cheese, that's somebody that's really pushing your buttons, that's the people that really tapped into you. You already went there in your mind.
Right.
You know,
so
already
like,
before you 50,
hey,
like, you know if you're going to get busy or not.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
That person, or take it to that next level or not.
Yes. I feel like as women, we know off the bat.
Yeah.
As they say, he could get it or she could get it.
Right.
Off the bat. Right
all
off
day.
the rip, you like, okay, now let's see what you talking about, though.
Yeah.
Because I've met some amazing people, but then once you start talking, it's like,
you're talking about nothing.
Don't worry about it. it was good in theory. You know what I mean? So just taking that time to get to know each other, to date a little bit, to, you know, figure out if this is a person that you feel like you're willing to do the work for. Because it is a lot of work.
And if you really don't want to work, then relationships are not really for you. You have to put in the work. You have to also decide whether you're going to be the accelerator at that point or the brake. In a car, you can't accelerate and brake at the same time.
That's right. You're going to backfire.
Right? So sometimes you need to be able to say, okay, am I going to accelerate this relationship? Am I going to take my time to walk through it and pump the brakes? And I think a lot of times we don't pump the brakes. We don't have the interview questions. And you want to make sure that you're not giving too much. You said it earlier. You don't want to unload on him the first time you meet, telling your life story. About how many kids you had, you know, whatever. You know, you want to
scare them off, ladies. Just go ahead. Tell them to go ahead.
Like, at least ease into it.
Yes, ease into it a little bit. Take your time, get to know each other, and just see if this is something that you really want. I think sometimes if you end a relationship, sometimes they say, oh, the best way to get over a relationship is with someone new.
Right.
And in doing that, you haven't taken the time that you need to heal and to deal with your stuff. Because I feel like every relationship comes to teach you something about yourself anyway, or your relationship with God. So I feel like take the time to figure out what those lessons are, do some of that healing work before you jump right back in with someone. And
a lot of times people don't look at the family dynamics. You know, you really, you know, you have to look at the family dynamics. One of the things I want to talk about is bait.
Let's talk about it.
Bait. I mean, bait and cheese.
Yes.
Right? It's a concept that we always look at when we're thinking about rodents or rats or fishing or something.
Yes.
But every man in the planet Earth, every woman in the planet Earth, men have bait. Now, my bait may not be your bait, and my cheese may not be your cheese.
Okay.
But everybody has bait. And let me talk about the bait. Bait is that thing that kind of drives you, keeps you involved. It dangles in front of you.
Wow.
And people, you know, some of the deep people may be listening like, I don't have no bait, I don't have no cheese. Everybody has bait. They have flavor and cheese, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But the bait is that believing attitude is temporary. It's an acronym I use. Believing attitude is temporary, and most guys have it. All guys have it, which means that my bait may not be being unfaithful, but my bait may be that I put my career before it, my family, or anything else.
Right.
So if I'm in a relationship and my mate wants quality time, but my bait is success, and I'm success driven, and I'm business oriented, nothing wrong with that, but I'd rather do that than spend time.
Yeah.
She has to know that. And one of the things that there has to be a balance, but bait is something that will make you see the cheese on the trap, know that you're going to get penalized for it, and you still go after it. So if it's not bait for you, if you won't risk it all, like I see men who have the car, the house, the picture family, beautiful dime piece, you will say. She's beautiful. But next door, they with Ugly Betty because Ugly Betty is a bait. She's able to tap into his domain address, and they lose everything. And then he slips up with her, and he says, that's just one time. It's a believing attitude that it's temporary.
Ooh.
Now, brothers, I blew your wild card right there.
Okay, I was about to say, it's going to be some mad people on the other side of this camera. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so let's get into that a little bit, because I was just talking to my friend, one of my friends, about, a guy who cheats on his girlfriend, and usually the women that he is with aren't what you would, but you have this beautiful, smart, intelligent, fly woman at home, but yet you over here with, Yeah. Look, I'm trying not to say it. Yeah, why? What is that about?
You know, I've learned that it goes back to the stage we said earlier about the domain. A lot of times at home, he has the beautiful picture, but she's not tapping into his domain code. She's not tapping into the password. She may not, understand how to communicate. And when he's out there on the road, and I found this out to be true, in our lives, we're out, Christina. We're movers and shakers. We're out. And sometimes it could be mental stimulation. So just say that he's got the beautiful woman, but there's no mental stimulation. And that's bait for him because he likes to be mentally stimulated.
Right.
And say that Ugly Betty at work is doing all that for him. She's outgoing, she's stimulating, she's creating new projects with him. They're hanging out at work. He's spending 60 hours a week with her.
So what if the person that you're with has all of that? Like you guys are in business together, you're beautiful, you're patient and kind and loving, like everything you think that they need, but they still are out walking outside of that. What do you think that is? Do you think it's still something that's missing, or could it just be that he's just that type of person?
It could be he's just that type of person. A lot of it is just that type of person, but also it could be that we've come to a place where we're not recreating the romance, because now we're so comfortable in our relationship to where we're not moving with that moving target. So I find a lot of relationships is that we were cool, we had chemistry at first. I don't know what happened. Or somewhere along the line, somebody's not committing to reinvent the relationship. You ever saw the movie Love Jones?
Yes, love that movie.
I love Love Jones because
so good.
Lorenzo Tate says something in the beginning of the movie, and I like to use it. He says, love is about the possibility of a thing.
Yes.
One thing about men, we are hunters, we are chasers, we like to pursue. So that woman, I'm giving you, I'm giving you some tools here.
Yeah.
You have to recreate that atmosphere of y'all meeting for the first time. Not alone, but both of you have to put in to say, hey, we've been together 20 years, but I'm going to do something new together to stimulate him. I know he likes mental stimulation.
Yeah.
Now, when people are in a situation where they're going to cheat and they're cheaters, they're going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if it's worth your relationship, and sometimes we leave that door so open, men and women, to where we just leave it open and we're surprised when somebody's gone out of the other side of the door. So just being able to create atmospheres, tapping into his domain address, speaking in that language, that code. If you know he is, for example, success-driven, join him in his ventures. A lot of times, like, go, babe, go make that money.
Okay.
Go do it. But no, are you setting his blenders table up? Are you out there? I know he got a PR person, but are you grinding and wearing his T-shirt?
That's right. Oh, that's good now.
Manifesting with him. Are you saying, hey, if you come out with a best-selling book, I want to sell 200 myself.
That's right.
And sometimes we sit back with success and say, I got it. But are you becoming involved and being sporadic? Now, putting the ownership on the man, are you being open to that, or you really just want that bait? But one of the things I realized that some people deal with certain things, they will always deal with it. And that's the myth they didn't tell us in church. You go to the altar, you pray, get married, that's supposed to settle
everything.
Yeah. Well, this might still be my bait. Like the law of attraction. You can be happy at home and go into PF Chang's.
Yeah.
Order your side piece of rice, and somebody come with that cologne and that perfume on. You like, good gracious, that's your bait. That's your flavor.
That temptation.
The temptation is there. I'm happy at home, but this is my bait. And sometimes people don't know how to balance that and be able to come home. I talked to a relationship and they were like, I'm very open. I can tell my husband, I was at work today and this dude approached me and I was a little weak. Do we have that vulnerability index to be able to come home and share? People say keep it real, but how real can you really get?
Yeah, and see, that's the thing too that I wanted to talk about. We were touching on earlier is just giving them the patience and the openness to really just say what they're dealing with, what's going on. I think it's cool when you can be in a relationship and say, oh, he was nice looking, or she was fine, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's cool, if that's as far as it goes, but I don't know. It takes a lot. Like, everybody has their different boundaries. I know for me, I'm the type of person, I want to be in a loyal relationship where we're loyal to each other, meaning we don't step outside of that. But I also have friends who are like, men are going to be men. I'm okay. He protects himself and he's doing what I just don't want to know about it, or, whatever. And they're okay with that because they feel like, well, he's young and he's going to be a man and he's still, whatever. So
it's something, because one of the things that the other chapter in the book is called man traps. And that's one of the traps that women really have to understand, man traps, because I think that comes from many options. I think with social media, the digital age,
yes, Lord,
got all of these E's for one atom, or all these atoms for one E.
Very true.
However you want to say it.
Yes.
Instead of apples, now we got apple bottoms.
Right.
Everybody looking at the imaging and what looks better and how a woman should dress and what she should look like and what's sexy and what's feminine. So you got all of these options. I can press a button and not leave home. I can come home every night, get on the internet, chat with somebody, emotionally cheat.
Yes.
Which I think is even deeper than physically cheating.
To me, it is. That is deeper.
And you can just do all of that and don't have to leave home.
Oof.
So it's like, because I always say, what makes a man that is full to the brim, still want more.
I mean, if you answer that question, I think we just took this show global. Okay?
And I say many options because you have the option.
Okay,
it's like a buffet. I know I'm full, but I got all these options.
So what do I do to keep you from, like, exploding?
You know?
What can we do to keep men from exploding? It's like, what do you do? How do you compete with social media? Like, how do you compete with that? You're going to be on social media. It helps to grow your businesses, socialize with, you know, your people, you know, get yourself out there. But at the same time, you scrolling.
Yeah. It's one of the things that I've learned and I've been trying to do in my life is create an atmosphere. You don't really compete against it. You really ignore your focus, which means that when you're fasting right now, you want to fast. I mean, you're still gonna like the food you like, but you made in your mind, up in your mindset that this is greater for a greater purpose. So social media, unplugging from that social media and creating an environment that's better. Like, for example, if I create an environment, I think of a strategic date night. Instead of being on social media, I'm saying, hey, let's go do a walkthrough at this castle in London. I booked some tickets. I did whatever. Or let's just get in the book together. Creating an option and an alternative to unplug it is there that I'm going to find myself to be like, all right, I ain't missing nothing.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we don't really have anything planned. You know, when you think about people on social media,
that's good.
You don't really got anything planned. I used to be on social media a whole lot more than I am now, but I ain't had nothing to do.
Ah, I see.
But when you're really busy, you're grinding, you're about something.
You ain't got time to be scrolling, seeing what's rolling up on your screen. Sit down. Yeah, that's hard. I mean,
so many options is what it is really something that's really taking, I think, relationships, because right now you have so many options.
And you can't control that. It just is what it is. So it's like, okay, you plan to do things together outside of social media. You plan to put those phones down and focus on each other. What else can you do? Because, like, it's tough. Like, even just being out and about. It's in Atlanta alone. Yes. I know we outnumber the men in a ridiculous amount. So women always say that it's not enough men here. You know, there's like 8 men to 1 woman. So, I mean, 8 women to 1 man. So how do you deal with that? Like, it's not a competition. I mean, I kind of feel like, and I can only speak for myself, I've never had that problem. Like, finding someone has never been a problem. I haven't really had to look. You know what I mean? They always show up. I think it is what you say it is. And whatever you believe to be true is what it is. If there's too many and you say it's too many, that's what it's going to be. But if you say there's someone for me, that someone will show up for you.
You know, one of the things that I say in the book that is really powerful is that men will call you what they see. Men will call you what they see, and I'm not just talking about verbally.
Yeah,
I'm saying from their heart. So when I meet a girl for the first time and I say to her, "You're beautiful, I want you," it's up to her to have enough wherewithal and some tools that I'm going to put in the book to come back and ask me, what do you mean by that? Because me saying that you're beautiful means I really admire how you look, and I want you might mean I just want you sexually. But in her mind, if she's not careful, she'll think that I want to be with her.
Oh,
so that's why I go back to asking these questions. If you're asking these questions and you're investing that time and you find out what his main address is, and you're seeing patterns, and you're seeing, so what I mean, men will call you what they see by their actions. So they say you're really fine, I want to spend time with you.
What you talking about?
And then they're not spending time with you. They basically told you a lot.
Yeah. But, or the way that they said it.
Yes.
Could have you thinking that they mean time for about an hour.
Right. 15 minutes.
You're thinking a lifetime. Okay, no, baby. I meant an hour and not a lifetime. Right. So that's kind of, and that's where the communication off the rip already gets kind of confusing, because it's like, okay, you want more than he's willing to give you, but what you're hearing is he wants more than what he's really
giving.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that you got to do, and I think it's so important. Communication, which means you have to communicate. Relationship, which means you have to relate.
Yes.
It's an ongoing battle, because when I started dating you, you were really in tune with us going to IHOP. Now you graduate from that. You want Ruth Chris in the brunch. Yeah. You want my, photo of the child. You want to be able to do some different things.
Yes.
If I'm not moving with you and you're not communicating and telling me that I'm not moving with you, the main thing is to keep talking. It's so mundane. The answer to that question is keep talking. Because if you're not talking and communicating, then you are in limbo.
Wow.
And you're starving your relationship. Many people don't invest in their relationship. Now, let me explain that. There's two people.
Okay.
You and the other person you're in a relationship with, right? So a lot of times people are caring about themselves. I care about me. You care about you.
Okay.
But nobody's putting in the relationship account. Your relationship should have an account where both of y'all are investing in the relationship.
Okay.
Because what keeps people together is not love. I used to think it was love.
Well, let's get into it. It's not love.
It's not love. I know people gonna argue with me. But I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's not love. I love you so much. That's gonna keep us together.
Love isn't, yeah, because I remember being in a relationship and I was like, love isn't enough.
Yeah.
Love isn't enough. It's too many other issues outside, and I can love you so much, but it ain't helping in this situation.
I love you to death.
Right.
Literally, people love you to death.
Oh, my God.
They're not loving you to life. They're not providing light. You know, this whole show is about light.
Love and light.
So, they're not loving you. And love doesn't keep you. They might love you because I might have so much love for you.
Right.
But I never can get it to you. Because you've changed.
Yeah.
And now I need to be able to love you or get that love to you in a different way. So what I mean by that, what keeps people together is the commitment. That to me coming and say, I'm going to commit to communicate.
Yes.
I might not love you today. If you've been in any relationship for a long time, you're going to realize I really
you're
don't
gonna
love
have
you
them
today.
rough days now.
Boo-boo, I don't love you today.
Exactly.
You know?
I don't like you for sure. We're not friends. Not today.
Not today.
Yeah.
But the commitment is I'm going to come back, and I've agreed that we have this investment account, which is our relationship. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about us.
Yes.
That we're going to put into.
I love that. Being open to doing the work, even on your worst days.
Yes.
And understanding, there was a quote that says, marriage is about falling in love again, over and over again.
That's good.
It's not a constant, ever since the day I met, I've been madly head over heels in love with him. I've liked every decision, every conversation we had, and we floated through. It's like, some days you're going to look and be like, why did I do this?
Yes.
And then the next day you could be like, oh, my God, I love him so much.
Yes.
So, yeah, that process of just learning to love each other, working through our stuff, but being committed.
Yes.
And I think that's the hardest thing sometimes because we do have so many options.
Yes.
Because we do have it. I feel like it came in with the microwave. I'm not kidding.
Yes.
It seemed like everything just sped up. When we were able to cook our food in 2 minutes flat, now it's like we can, jump out of this relationship right into another relationship in 2 seconds flat. And it's like, who is willing to really do the work and commit these days when there's so many options out there?
It's something powerful you say it right there because it's so many. When you invest, it is hard for you to pull out. Most people in relationships don't really invest. If you have invested into that investment relationship account, it's going to be hard for you to be like, well, bye, boo, I'll see you later. Because I put in time, I put in energy, I put in work, I've forgiven, I forgave, I affirmed.
Sometimes money.
Money. Oh, my God, that's another women. I mean, man, you put in money.
Yeah.
And so when I get ready to walk away, it's the commitment to it. You know, love, I can say I love you and I love somebody else the next day.
Oh, that's so hard. And so many people end up heartbroken because of that, because the investment was never there. And the work just seems to be too hard these days to put up with when someone at the office, like you said, Ugly Betty pull up. And she like, I'm patient. I hear you. I'm listening. I know your heart. And they see all the goodness. And it's so hard because then if you're the woman at home who you've been through so much with this person.
Yes.
Ugly Betty's not going to get meeting the mom.
Yes.
And the commitment and the things y'all fought through and the things you've worked through and all of that stuff. She just sees the good part, but she doesn't know everything that comes along with this man.
And it's funny because I want to tell women, because I hear a lot of times I got to compete with all of this. You don't have to compete, you have to connect.
Wow.
And sometimes your connection is not meant for the person that you're trying to connect with. That's the hardest thing I've had to realize is that you got the connection, you have the power source, which is God, but you're trying to plug into a man that's not your outlet. That's not the place you're supposed to plug in. And so with this whole thing, this whole books and these tools and this talk show, it's really to get people to understand you may have to move on. But when you're feeling like you have to compete, most of the time that's not the relationship you need to be in, or you're not using the right set of words.
So tell me, you've been together for quite a few years, and you've been through so many things together, and then you lose the connect. Like, you lose your connection, that something that keeps you guys fighting, that keeps you in there. And now it's kind of like a roommate, and you're just passing each other. You know, there's no intimacy, there's no conversation. How do you think it's possible, if they both want it, to get that connection back? And if so, what tools do you use for that? I wonder.
Yeah, that is a great question. I think it's possible. And I think it's a simple drill. In the book, I talk about one activity. I'll give you one. One of the activities is take a sheet of paper and go back and do your relationship timeline.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like photo albums. What I love about pictures is once you take that picture, Christina, it becomes history.
Yes.
You know, you can never, you can take the same identical picture again, but it's not the same.
It's not the same. It's that moment in time. Yeah.
So once you capture the moments, and what I tell people to do, go back and capture the moment. Go back to when it was good. And draw that line. This is when it was good. Think about all the things that was good, and then also talk about the bad. And if the bad outweighs the good, I'm not saying you leave, but you say, what am I going to do?
Like, see you.
See you. Go. But then you say, how can I get back there? You said something that was so powerful. You got to put in the work. Most people don't want to work. If it's worth it, you'll put in the work. Yeah. And then I think you go back and you might seek professional counselors. Yeah. You might even get away. It's easy to lose yourself in a family or in a career.
It's so true. And I think it's important just to understand that a lot of these relationships can be saved, and they can be, the connection can come back, but we're so like, no, I'm not dealing with that. I'm out. I'm about to go. Like, why is it that every time we argue, it's like, I'm done.
I'm done.
Every time. It's like after a while, he loses trust. He loses faith in a relationship. He starts looking for an out. Well, just in case she does leave, let me have a backup. And women don't understand that, because they will constantly run you off. And men can do that too and protect themselves. It's a protective thing.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's so powerful, because I've learned that we have these broken circles, which means that I'm mad at you, we break up, going back to the many options. I got many options, so I'm going to the next person. I really want to be with you, was in love with you. Now I leave you and go to Susie.
And take the same set of, exactly.
Here, wanting to be back over there. Now I'm between both people. Mess her up. Now she goes back out. Broken cycle. She goes to Fred, who was ready for a relationship. Now she's broken. We have to stop these broken cycles. And women, I'm going to talk to you for a second. You don't have to leave a relationship because somebody else told you. Men, you don't have to leave a relationship. I'm not talking about anything violent or anything like that.
Right.
But sometimes we have to make our own choices.
That's
a
right.
lot of people are sitting in another relationship with the heart of your last relationship.
That's right. Oof.
If you would just say, oh, I'll forgive you, and go back if it's worth saving, and save that relationship, now you mess up somebody else's relationship.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, so because I think it does. You know, your girlfriends can have a lot of influence because they're on the outside looking in. If they see you in pain one day, you're still in love. And that's why I tell people you can't run and tell every little thing that goes on in your relationship, because once you're fine and you guys make up because you love them, that's great. But everybody on this side, your parents, your friends, they side-eyeing them. And they like, I don't think you should be with this person. So it's important you want to have healthy outlets and people that promote the relationship. And at the same time, you want to make sure that you're protecting your relationship. And I have a friend, Brayley Evans, whose show comes on right after this one, you guys, isn't she? So stay tuned. But Brayley also, when she got married, I was at her wedding. They turned to the guest and were like, "You're getting married too. We need all of you to support this union. And if you see us clashing, bring us back together. Help counsel us through. We're depending on more than just ourselves to make this work. We're depending on the people we trusted to bring here today to help us nurture this marriage." And I just thought, that is so dope.
That's dope. And you know what's powerful, too, what I do a lot of times in a lot of the conferences and tours that I facilitate is that we often, I come from a church background, you know, just from a mother who was strong in the Lord, church. We went to church like every day.
Oh, you guys, we were in church. Almost every single not
day.
Exaggerating. Sunday night,
And
Monday,
I realized that
Wednesday, Friday.
so many relationships in the church, we were losing it.
Yeah.
You were at church all the time, but you're losing your relationships.
Yeah.
And I realized that we used to have these ministries, singles ministry and marriage ministry, and we would separate them. But to me, I'll tell every single person, you need to get with some married folks.
That's good.
If you want to get married, the Bible says the two shall become one. We get married to become single. Two.
Yes.
Of y'all get together, now you have a single marriage. You have 2 marriages.
That's good.
So interconnecting the single married folks is really important because you're going to show me how to live 20 years unhappy,
That's
20 years
very
happy,
true.
or up and down.
Okay.
Rather than my single person is going to say, hey, you got options.
Yeah.
You can go.
Boy, them single friends. Them hanging with them single friends when you married, that could be a danger zone.
Yeah.
I think that's important to have. You know, it's okay you had friends before you were married. They're still single. That's fine. But it is important to nurture that part and understand that you need people that have been where you are and have been where you're going and who can help advise you on how to be the best wife you can be the best husband you can be.
Yes. It's so important because you bring yourself to the table. Everybody here that's listening, myself included, you bring yourself to the table. In your relationship, you bring yourself. If you're not loving yourself, if you're not happy with yourself, if you got issues with yourself, and don't project it on him.
That's right.
Vice versa, it's not fair for him to project those issues on you. And I think a lot of relationships die to friendly fire because you're destroying each other with your words.
Yes.
Words are so powerful, and that's one thing I love about the book I've written is that learning the words how to affirm. I've seen a situation where I was dating somebody. I'll never forget it. And I was caught basically being unfaithful. And I came to her, and before I knew it, I was used to her, I was thinking that she was going to come to me in a very judgmental way. The relationship was going to be over. And I was fearful. And to really break the stereotype, men are scared a lot of times to tell you the truth. I'm not saying it's right, but they're like, if I tell the truth, I'm going to lose all this. When I came to her, she said something that was so powerful. She said, what I'm upset about is not what you did. You didn't give me the chance or the opportunity to work through it. I had to find out on my own. If you would have came to me, we may have could have worked through it.
Exactly.
So she provided freedom for that relationship. I had never experienced freedom. And so a lot of times men have never been in a position to say, hey, you got this issue that you're struggling with.
Yeah.
But I'm giving you freedom. I'm giving you bread instead of cheese. That's another bonus in the book. You got to buy the book to get that.
Y'all got to get
Instead of
this
giving
book.
cheese, give bread. To provide a safe environment.
Wow. Yeah, that's deep. I mean, I think I would respect that more as well if someone were to just come out and tell me, like, this is what happened, because then I could think it through and, form my own opinion about it versus when someone tells you, now you're embarrassed and you feel like, oh, this was all a lie, or he couldn't tell me, and now this person knows. Now everybody's gonna know. And so, I think that's a strong point. It's just wanting to, like I said, keep that relationship safe, and be able to think it through without all the outward opinions. Because I know in one of my last relationships, he had cheated, and there was a situation before that where something had happened, and he was attempting to cheat, and I was like, I'm not going to tell any of my friends.
Right.
I just want to think this through for myself, because I know for me, it's a deal breaker usually. I'm like, oh, done. See ya. But I was like, no, I really want to think this through without outward opinions about what I should do.
Right.
And then later some other stuff started popping up. It's like, okay, I'm out.
Now you see it.
Right, okay. But I did take the time, and I remember just reaching out to my pastor, Real Talk Kim, and just being like, okay, hey, this is what's going on. Yeah, and just being like, okay, I need your help, and could you pray for us and pray for me, because I need some guidance on this. So be very mindful, and I'm not saying, oh, if he does whatever, keep it to yourself and don't feel like you can't go to your pastor or go to anybody. But sometimes you have to think for yourself.
Yes. That
because
is so good.
Some people can actually work through things. Like you said, I had never experienced that freedom. So if I was able to do that, it may have never happened again. You know what I mean? Because now I have the freedom to tell you what it is I need, you know, what it is I require, why I went out and did this. And it'll give her insight, you know, because a lot of times I'm not saying that we are the reason that each other cheats, but I am saying that sometimes there are things that are lacking there that could be satisfied, like we talked about earlier, the mental stimulation and the joining him in his endeavors that could possibly keep that from ever happening again.
That's right. And people do bounce back. And one of the things about it, if people do outlive infidelity or, you know, whatever it may be, I think you can deal with that. I always say to a person that your grace may not be my grace.
Yeah.
Like your ability, your non-negotiable, your, you know, where I'm not going to take it may be different. And we have to be careful not to project it on somebody. But I will say this, is your soul is your place of your will, intellects, and emotions. Right? Make sure you have a restored soul. Because I've been guilty. I'm very transparent of getting into another relationship. And my soul wasn't restored. And so I still got stuff in my intellect, my way of thinking. Because when you call me and I don't hear from you, then now I'm tripping, or my emotions, because I wasn't whole. So I'm bringing my unwhole self into a new relationship and trying to make you fix me.
Oof.
Like my beat up car, my beat up transmission. Now I want you to ride in it.
And all of us ain't mechanics. I might not know how to fix it. And making that person feel bad because now I got to be fixed. Instead of taking the time, I tell people all the time, to fix themselves. You know, I remember when I went through a divorce, I wilded out. It's like, hey, you know, I wasn't serious, but see, so many people were ready for a relationship. And there's so many people that's ready for a relationship, but you don't want to put the work in. And so now you with dudes that's wilding out. And he's in, I talk about in the book, he's in the man-child phase. Now you deal with a man-child. He might be 40, but he's still stuck. And want to play PlayStation because he had to grow up so fast.
And be in the streets. Now he wants to enjoy his 20s and his 40s. You ready for settlement. But you didn't take the time to interview. Now you upset.
Now you're stuck like Chuck with somebody who ain't ready. It keeps going back to that communication. So we were talking about being single and being able to hang with, you know, married couples. But right now there's like a lot of online dating, you know, like dating already feels like an interview, you know, and like, what do you think about that? Meeting someone online and, you know, this whole new, because back in the day, we didn't have that option. I mean, there were some matchmaking companies, but now people are meeting online and getting married. Have you ever online dated, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think online dating is really cool. I think this platform will really be good because you can ask those questions and not feel as evasive. You know, because then, you know, it's just like texting. You said it earlier. I can text you and basically say, hey, ask you the hard questions. And then, you know, without feeling like, oh, what's this going to look like? So I say take advantage of that, but don't get so dependent that we never meet. I've had people who I've talked to and coached that never met their significant other. And I'm talking about they were going to get married. Planning weddings and had never met each other in person. Well, it could happen. I'm not saying it could not happen. But I'm like, you need to get in his presence, get in his space, go out and see him unexpected.
Because you can still say whatever you want to say online. It doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So, and a lot of times, like you said, when we download automatically, we as women will be like, I don't want a man who does this or says this or acts like this. And so they become those very things when it's not genuine to who they are. So until you get to spend that real time, one-on-one time with the person, you don't know that they're not just telling you what you want to hear. And that's scary.
You can meet some powerful people and great relationships on Facebook and IG, but make sure you do get to know them outside of that. I think those profiles, I always tell people, look behind your profile.
I ain't never, like, I've had men ask me on dates all the time in my DM. I'm like, I'm not dating anybody from social media. I'm scared. It scares me to death because it's like, no, it's too vast and wide, and I don't know you for real. You know what I mean? Like, I rarely even talk. Like, I have people so adamant when I say they're, diligent. I mean, they're going to be in there every week. Every picture, they're going to be like, oh, you look beautiful, or this or that, or you have a man, or you, I mean, and even if you're like, yeah, I do, they're still going to keep coming back.
Yes.
So I don't know. This is a totally different time. I'm used to back in the day when we used to meet and be like, oh, okay, he's nice. Let's go to dinner or whatever. Now it's like I'm sliding in your DM.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say all the sweetest things to try to get you to go out.
You gotta watch some DMs, and I think one of the things that people have to do is use it as a supplement and not as a replacement.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes you don't want social media to replace that engaging.
That's right.
And meeting face to face, and like you say, even texting. You want to be able to say, "Let's have some time to talk."
So how do you balance, you know, being in a relationship, touring, speaking, traveling, but still, how do you balance your? Because you have to stay relevant, and you got to stay on social media to let people know, hey, this is what I'm doing, man. Handle this out, you guys. Like, and how do you get that balance? Like, when do you say, okay, I'm going to put my phone down, or as soon as I wake up, like, I'm going to go straight to prayer and meditation and loving on my wife. But then, you know, when do I pick up my phone? And it's addictive, because sometimes you'll be on it and you won't even realize it's been 30 minutes. I'm still on here. You know, it's been an hour, 2 hours. I've been posting, reading, doing this, doing that. How do you balance relationship with social media?
You know, I'm still working on that, because it's a balance.
For me too, because it's like you have to stay relevant at certain times. You have to post. You have to I'm really big on interacting with my followers and my supporters and making sure that they know, hey, I love you, I see you, I hear you, I'm here. At the same time, I have this going on, and I have multiple businesses. I'm like a serial entrepreneur. So it's like, and I have to still promote, and so it is very, very hard to be in a relationship when they like, can you just put your phone down?
Yes. I think it's flexibility, you know, coming in. And I tell people, open communication with somebody who's, you know, definitely going to be engaged with you, is that they got to know that you're a mover and shaker anyway. Yeah. They got to know that, hey, but making people feel important. It's the quality of the time and being able to have the flexibility, too.
Oh, that's good.
The quality of the time to be able to say, hey, I'm out here grinding, but at the same time, this is our time. If you need me, I'm accessible. And I think what I've done, even in my own life with my wife in relationships, is I'll set everything down. If need be to say that I will. And I think when that trust is built, people feel like, okay, well, I'm not competing.
Right, because I know if I say I need him, he's going to be right there. That's good. That's real good.
I think this is so important. I explain to people in coaching and in life that you get, life gives you two balls. They give you a rubber ball, and they give you a glass ball. The rubber ball is opportunities, resources, other outside people, chance and success. If you drop that ball while you're juggling, that ball will drop to the ground and bounce back to you because it's a rubber ball. You can get a new job. You can get a new interview. You can get a new contract. The glass ball, if you juggle it, which is your family, your wife, your significant other, your, whatever it is, and that drops, it shatters. Doesn't bounce back to you. And all that's left is pieces, and it takes God to put those pieces back together. So you have to choose at the same time you're juggling which one you want to drop. Yeah. Do you want the glass draw? You don't want that to drop. Right. You know, you don't want to lose people that you've invested in. That's right. You don't want to lose your relationship over a contract. Because I see people are happy. Yeah. And living in big homes. You know, you see it in Atlanta and everywhere you go. Multi-millionaires, but have no peace.
Absolutely right.
So you got a house, no rest. Oh. You know, who wants that? You know, so being able to do that.
And see, that's why I go through these fast and letting go of old stuff. For instance, like my Porsche got totaled. Wow. They just totaled it out, but in August, it got hit at an intersection from two cars that had a head-on collision, and my car was just sitting at the stoplight. Wow. And then one spun out of control and just smashed into my car, which I had been manifesting because I was like, I'm ready to get out of this car. I did it as a gift to myself. I like bigger cars. You know, I'm looking for something else. I want a Wrangler. I want something that's just me. And see, I've been driving luxury cars for so long that I'm just at the point now where I went and test drove a Toyota Corolla the other day, and I loved it. I freaking loved it. And I was like, this is awesome. I could put as many miles as I want on it. It didn't have any miles on it. I could drive it out of town in Charlotte to go see family. I could go to the beach. I can drive in the city and be done with it for this small price. You know, and Toyotas have such great longevity. It's like I'm at the point now in my life where I'm downsizing my life. Like now I'm in a rental car because of the wreck, but I'm looking for something, and I'm like, you know what? If I could put this much money in a Porsche, I could just get a house. You know, so now I'm just like, you know what? Instead of buying another expensive high-end car, I'm gonna buy a house. Like I own my home, but I'm talking about flipping and renting and investment homes. You know, so it's like, I mean, we have to learn how to kind of say, hey, you know, enough is enough. I don't need so much, because excess does not equate happiness.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that. They think, oh, you got it, you good, you happy, you this, you that. It's people that are filthy rich jumping off of bridges, jumping out of windows. It's like money does not equate to happiness. And so you have to think smart and not hard. And my happiness and my peace is priceless. So like dying to my flesh is a way of me saying, I don't need all of that.
Right.
I don't need the fried chicken, the crab legs, this, and this. I can put that aside to really get to the core of my spiritual self, you know, and nurture my soul. And the food that I'm putting in me is reading, journaling, listening to, you know, other speakers, you know, making sure that I'm feeding my soul, because you're right. It's like you can have all of this stuff and still be the most unhappy. Yeah,
it's something that I'm glad you hit on that, because people want to base their relationship on stuff.
Yes.
He gives me this. She gives me that. But really, what is the substance? What I always tell people to think about what a person is giving you any internal values, eternal values. You know, what can you take from that relationship that you can use forever?
Exactly.
If a person brings peace in your life, you might want to keep that person.
I know that's right.
You know?
Yes.
Or a lot of times in this day and age, it's how much money he's bringing to the table. Is he bringing peace to the table? Is
right.
Dreams, he's got you covered. Is she got you covered?
Yes.
You know, so we base our situations in life and our choices on the wrong thing.
Yeah, because my peace is priceless. It's like, y'all see me riding down the street in this Toyota, just wave. I'm going to be smiling. I'm going to be jamming to my little JBL radio, you know, and I'm going to be chilling, but I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to be saving. You know what I mean? Like, instead of see me rolling in a Porsche, and I'm like, oh, I got to be here because I got to take care of this note. I got to pay this. I got to pay that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I just want to think smart. I love design. I've been an interior designer for over 15, 16 years. And it's like, that's my passion. So just flipping the houses is like, oh, this is what I do. You know what I mean? I do it for other people. I may as well do it and make dumb money for myself. So it's like, I don't need all the fluff. My happiness starts within. And that's what's priceless. And that's what we have to understand. Living above our means, or pretending to be happy because you look good together, or you feel good when you're with them for a little while, but putting aside the fact that for the most part, though, I'm the most unhappy in this relationship, and being and saying that enough is enough. Like, this isn't where I need to be.
That's so important, to understand where you are. And I think that's, before you get into a relationship, understand where you are. Or even if you're in a relationship, take time to self-evaluate where you are in that relationship. Because sometimes I hear people say, I get lost, and you know, I don't have an identity. And you never should feel that way. You should still have your own identity inside of your relationship.
And it's, and what do you say to the people that have been together for 10, 20, 15, you know, 30 years, and they're the most unhappy people on earth? Because I always say, it's just time. You know what I'm saying? It's just that, but why waste another minute of it? If I've already given you 30, baby, I ain't getting no younger. Okay? Stuff gonna start sagging. I'm gonna need to be right back out on the market. So I ain't wasting one more minute. And that's how I feel too, getting into new relationships. It's like, that's one of my first things. It's like, just don't waste my time.
And I think time, you never can give it back. I think being honest. I think people who stay 30 years have probably lied for 30 years.
Woof.
You know, and I say that you've been untruthful for 30 years, and you drug that person. Because sometimes people are so comfortable, they're not going to say. And nobody wants to be the person that says, hey, this has to end. But you have to look and say, you know, what am I gaining from it? How am I being strong? Because I've seen kids who are the byproduct of that, whose mom and dad stayed together 30 years, but now all of their relationships are messed up.
And they don't understand. I always say the greatest lesson we can teach our children is how to love through the way that we love in our own relationships. And for some reason, people think that children don't know or can't sense that you're not happy, and they're the first to know.
Yeah. And you don't want to manhandle your children.
Ooh.
Because that word manhandle means to take by force. And that's why I named the book that, because sometimes people have been taken by force. Manhandle. You can manhandle your children because you stay with an abusive man.
Yes.
Who's been beating on side of your head, or you beating him.
Yes.
And your children are now seeing that behavior, emulating that behavior in school. Nobody can talk to them, nobody can teach them. Then they're going to go out and do the same thing again. Where if you would have made the choice to separate yourself and get out of that situation, how many people are going through PST who are kids, not even in a war zone, but your house is a war zone. Your verbal words, maybe it's not even the beating or hitting, but they see you cuss each other out, turn up every day in the car.
Exactly.
Before he gets dropped off at school.
Ooh.
What are you doing to his relationship?
Yeah.
Me and my boy was talking about this the other day. Our brother, we're talking about legacy and how important legacy is. It can't just be about opportunity and making yourself happy.
That's
You
right.
have to get to the point and say, what legacy, what light are you shedding to the next generation?
It's so important. I mean, we all are products of those type of relationships, whether they were healthy and nourishing or abusive and disturbing or absent even, you know, dealing with neglect. You know, I know women deal with that too, not having, I dealt with that, not having my father in my life and not healing from that, and then taking those insecurities in a relationship, thinking someone's always going to leave, they're not going to stay, they're not going to be loyal, they don't want me, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. And then as soon as you do get someone who's great, you're constantly, you know, accusing him of doing something he hasn't done, and you're constantly on him every day to where he eventually gets tired and it's a turnoff. You know, speak to that, like women who have been through these, you know, not having your dad and then after that, because of what you've seen, you've been in these relationships where their behavior has mimicked that for you. So then you get someone good and you study running him off. How do you start to heal those broken places?
Yeah, I started about one of the chapters in the book called Manless. I wrote this chapter called Manless. It's almost like going vegan in today's society.
Wow.
Where we become manless. Everything is, you know, geared towards being unisex, taking the power and the potency a lot of times of men away. What I mean by that, you know, is that I believe that women can grind, women should be appreciated, and women should be celebrated. But I also mean that I feel that men are here for a reason and a place. I think I've dated and I've seen people date women who have daddy issues. They didn't have a dad, so they don't even know how to receive a lot of times a male in authority.
That's right.
Or a male and not someone, when I say authority, not dominance. I'm saying a male that's in a position to cover. They don't understand that because they think cover is smothering. I get so many emails and calls like, he's too nice. Why is he, you know, this way? And so now they want, in a situation, on the other hand, where they want to get into a relationship and want him to be their dad, or want him to be this person that their mom said she wished she had.
Yeah.
So some people base their perspective on a man by what mommy and grandma and auntie said a man's supposed to be. Now this man of God comes into your life, man of purpose, and now you're saying, well, he ain't working 2 jobs. He ain't doing all this. Well, you should have your own money, and this is how you should treat me.
Wow.
So now you don't have a pattern. I think one of the things about what the enemy does and life does is if you go manless, you don't really have a pattern. Because when you look at that word father, it means originator.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't have originators in their life to set an order or a pattern to treat. I have 2 daughters, 3 daughters. I treat them with a certain level because I want them to understand that I'm originating something in them.
That's
right.
So
if somebody comes in, hold on, that doesn't sound original because my dad did original things with me.
I love that.
This sounds like a counterfeit. You know, and so, but some people don't have that. They're in this relationship. And so Manless chapter in the book is really talked about how society is saying that we don't need fathers anymore, or the child support syndrome where we just get money from baby daddies and all that.
That's right.
But you need to let your fathers be in the child's life if at all possible.
Yeah.
Because they set an origin, and I'm not just saying the men, also the women.
That's so good. That is so good because there's so many of us out there who didn't have that. And then we're learning as we go, you know, and losing as we go, because you're losing out on some amazing men and some amazing, you know, opportunities for healthy relationships because you don't know, you don't have a guidance,
and
like
one
you
of the things
said.
I learned too is that you'd be surprised, and I'm only speaking from a male perspective, so Christine, you can help me with this. A lot of women I realize have never even been affirmed by a man. They don't even know how to take it. If I
That's
come and say
very
to
true.
some women, a lot of women, that you're beautiful and you mean something, they would think it's sometimes a sexual move or a pass. I get it all the time. Like, oh no, you're beautiful. How beautiful? What you mean? You know, just call me by my name.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know, it's almost like they don't know how to be
receive
affirmed or
it.
receive who they are.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times if you don't get it from your father, you don't get it from father figures or mom or whatever happens.
Yeah.
We take those insignificances or inadequacies
into the relationship. Woo. This is good. This is so deep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it still all goes back to doing the work, getting to know yourself, healing your past, and understanding that, you know, there's work to be done before you jump into these relationships. You know, you have to do the healing work. And so what do you think that would mean for a woman who didn't have that? So because like I said, we kind of learn from trial and error. Like we jump in and then we're like trying to stay above water and trying to paddle, you know, doggy paddle our way to the edge. It's like, where do we start?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is you can't fill the glass that's already full. You have to pour out so that something can come in.
Wow.
I found that out. So the more things I've been around a lot in life, and I've had to unpack the things I learned. I have to unlearn so that I can learn. And I think the opportunity is pouring out. You got to empty your cup.
Wow.
And say, hey, I want to get new information. Getting resources like this, being provided with opportunities to share your feelings, embrace your feelings, and being around people who have fathers. Like I remember in school, I used to be envious of people who had their fathers in their life. For a
Me
while.
too, yeah.
Like, why are you coming in there? All y'all coming to the ball game, nobody's coming
Right, exactly.
But what if I would have said, hey, I'm going to embrace that. Let me get around your family to see how this works. So get around people who have fathership structures and fathership qualities. They can pass them down to you. Just because you didn't have it don't mean you can't learn it.
That's right. And it's good for single moms to know that too. Some women will keep the father away from the child to get back at the father and feel like, oh, okay, well, you're not giving me money, you won't see him, or, you know, we're not in a relationship anymore, I'm, you know, jealous of your relationship or whatever, so you won't see him. And it's like, but you're hurting the child. So knowing that even if the father isn't present, getting the child around some type of positive male influence that you trust, you know, to be able to lay that type of foundation.
So important.
Yeah.
To get them in an environment. I always say it's like cooking. You know, when your grandma's cooking,
yes.
and you might not have even been a part of the meal, but when you go outside, people are like, hey, you smell like chicken, like fish, whatever it is. And so getting them in that atmosphere and let that get on them.
Yes, I love that. What a great analogy. Yeah. Okay, so manifestation, manslayer, manipulation, man traps, man child, manless, manhandled.
Yes.
I'm so excited about this book, you guys. You have to get it. Yeah. Manhandle, hidden code words that impact men. I think this is a great read for couples to do this in that workbook together. Because it has been such an amazing journey just talking about it. So you guys got to get into it. So tell us how they can find you if they're looking for a relationship coach, if they want to purchase the book or have you come speak, and how do we follow you on social media?
Thank you. They can find me by Oliver T. Reed.
Okay.
I'm your solution coach. I'm branded as your solution coach. Also, the books are on Amazon.
Okay.
On the website at www.youronesolutioncoach.com.
Love it.
And I'm fully branded. You can find me there.
Awesome. Okay, let's do it, you guys. You guys got to grab this book. It is so informative, and I thank you so much for coming today. It's been so much fun. I had an amazing time, and you guys know how to find me, and if you don't, let me tell you, Christina Johnson _ on Instagram, Christina Johnson on Facebook. Also, Inner Peace, INNERPIECE on Twitter, or you can go to my website for all things Christina, www.christinasjohnson.com. You know what I'm going to say next? I love you guys, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. I'll see you next Wednesday for Love and Light Lessons with Christina Johnson.